Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, I have to make another Jimmy Dore video. Now, for the record, I'm not diagnosing anybody. I'm just speculating what might be going on in his head in a case similar to this.
Here is Dr. Liar, Fauci, Dr. Pathological Liar, corrupt criminal in the pocket of Big Pharma, Dr. Fauci, who will never tell you about Medicare for All, which would have saved 200,000 lives during COVID. He'll never bring that up. Why? Because he's a tool of Big Pharma. He's corrupt, and he's not there to help you. He's there to push an agenda. So now the agenda is mandates for vaccines. And now if you already have natural immunity, why would you want to get a vaccine? Everybody was saying that Donald Trump was the one not taking anything seriously, even though he developed the vaccines under Project Warp Speed.
Yes, you heard that correctly. He blames Dr. Fauci for the fact that we don't have Medicare for all, but not Trump. But then he gives Trump credit for the fact that we have a vaccine. You figure it out.
After one of the worst rates in August, CDC data show Florida is recording 64 cases per 100,000 people in a week, or 9 cases per 100,000 people per day as of Wednesday. This means the Sunshine State has the best case rate in the country behind California, Mississippi, Hawaii, Alabama, respectively. So 3 out of those 4 states are out of those 5 states are southern states that have the lowest rates: Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida.
Okay, so unlike Jimmy, I'm actually capable of looking up data. And what I did is I went to this website and just go to cases and deaths. And then you go here. And so what I did is I just copied and pasted this information and, put it in a spreadsheet. And then I went to vaccination progress and, let's see, where is it? I go down here, show more. And, I copied and pasted this. So, I ended up with this nice little spreadsheet. Where is it? Here it is. So I ended up with this nice little spreadsheet, and I pasted the deaths, the vaccines, and then I got the population for all those states. I went to Wikipedia, got that, so got the population, and did some calculations. So I figured out what the cases were for population, deaths per population, and, well, that's not that important. And then I ranked them. So I took the deaths per population, and I ranked it. And look at that, Alabama, it's at 2. And what else did he say? Mississippi. Mississippi is number 1. And Florida, that's number 8. So, this isn't the last 7 days. This is, the total cases. So when you look at the total cases, it's 1, 2, and 8. Not very good. And yes, if you understand how diseases work, you know that the disease basically burned itself out. But that doesn't mean that, the fact is the death is still the highest. And when you look at Florida, as far as the rank for the vaccine, they're 20, 20 out of 50 states, which is not too bad, So when you take the fact that the vaccine rank is pretty good, and also the fact that, the cases were just going nuts and the disease burned itself out, what's happening in Florida isn't that good.
So they have one of the best COVID-19 case and death rates right now. And they're not doing any shit. What he's focusing on is early treatment, getting you the monoclonals.
And wouldn't you know it, a top donor for Governor Ron DeSantis is a Regeneron investor. Isn't that funny? Does Jimmy ever do any research or any work whatsoever?
Fauci, early use of monoclonal antibodies can cut the risk of hospitalization and death up to 85%. Why is that not being blasted on the TV every fucking day? And why don't they tell you where you can get your monoclonals as soon as you know you have COVID? Why are they trying to restrict your access to monoclonals? If it's a great therapeutic, it's a great therapeutic.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's all a big conspiracy. And you're totally not working for the same guy who donates to Ron DeSantis, right?
Interesting. So Max, let me bring in Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone, who has been vocal and principled against vaccine mandates and is careful not to repeat the big pharma propaganda around COVID. Let me see. What do you think? What do you make of this story that DeSantis went a different way and he emphasized early treatment if you got it, and now they have the lowest case rates and the lowest death rates in the country? What do you say to that?
Well, it really does tell us a lot about COVID and the variants and how they sort of blow through the population and then decline, and it moves in seasonal waves. And hopefully, as the variants continue and the waves continue, they will weaken in intensity, and eventually the endemic will become much more bearable, which really speaks to the importance of early treatments like Regeneron and the development of early treatments and also clinical trials, serious actual clinical trials, not like the phony kind we've been seeing, for things like ivermectin, which really, I mean, just me saying that probably set off like 100 censors on YouTube at some like censorship lab. Like that's like the word you're not allowed to utter. But, Florida's case rate has been declining precipitously for the past 10 weeks, which means that mainstream media coverage of Florida has been declining precipitously as well. It's no longer a good story. You can't point the finger at the governor who's been resisting new mandates. What the media has been doing is targeting Florida's Surgeon General, Joseph Ladapo, who was a signer of the Great Barrington Declaration, which was pioneered by Jay Bhattacharya, who is an epidemiologist from Stanford, and Martin Kulldorff, who is a scientist who teaches and has taught at Harvard.
Okay there, don't ever get your facts from Jimmy Dore. I mean, sure, if you look at the past 7 days, then Florida does have very good rates. But if you look at the grand total and then you divide it by the population, Florida is number 8, and Alabama is number 2, Mississippi is number 1 as far as death rates. So it's pretty bad, actually. And yes, maybe the disease has temporarily burned itself out, but Jimmy seems totally unaware that the monoclonal antibodies, they gave money to Ron DeSantis, and maybe that's why he's promoting it. And then again, maybe that's why these guys are promoting it as well.
But on this one, we just have to be objective and look at the fact that Florida everything that was said about it has been discounted, and now they're just targeting his Surgeon General because he was part of the Great Barrington Declaration, and everything he's saying runs counter to the official narrative that's so discredited. But let's look at the facts. Let's look at the experience on the ground. And by the way, I mean, you were questioning why Regeneron or monoclonal antibodies is so hated by the biomedical establishment that's kind of behind the narrative. And the Biden administration is trying to take away monoclonals from Florida and distribute them to other states. And it's because they say it's too expensive, because they don't want to spend money on public health because a treatment costs much more than a vaccine.
Okay, you're really far gone when your conspiracies don't make any sense. So he's going on about Big Pharma, and, Jimmy constantly complains that the vaccines are a plot by Big Pharma. But then, they admit that, the monoclonals cost more, which would mean more profits for Big Pharma. So why would Big Pharma be against it? It doesn't make any sense. These guys are ridiculous. They make no sense. But, it would be funny if it weren't for the fact that people are going to die because of this lunacy. And anyway, this probably isn't a good ending for a video, but hey, that's the video. Thank you. Have a nice day.